Howdy folks, I'm Sassy Sweet Potato Pie, saltily sulking in shiny steel storage.
I'm Amber.
And here's more shiny steel storage for us to sulk in. And folks, we also have a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. It's going to be great. For more details, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Kicking My Brother Out of My House After What He Did at My Daughter's 15th Birthday? I'm a 38-year-old female and I have a 15-year-old daughter, Emma. For her birthday, I decided to throw a small gathering at her house with her best friend, Mia, and a few family members. My brother, Evan, a 45-year-old male, offered to help out. Emma adores Evan. He's the cool uncle who's always joking around and treating her like an adult. I've always been uneasy about how permissive he is, but I never imagined that he would cross such a massive line. The evening started fine with music, snacks, and laughter. At one point, I stepped away to finish some work, trusting that Evan could keep an eye on things. About an hour later, I went to check in on them, and I couldn't find Emma, Mia, or Evan anywheres. After asking a few of the guests, someone said that they were in Emma's bedroom playing board games. I had a bad feeling about it, so I headed upstairs. What I walked into made my stomach drop. Mia was half passed out, slumped on the bed in Emma's room, barely able to sit up, and throwing up all over herself. Emma and Evan were hovering over her, both panicking and trying to keep her awake. I immediately demanded to know what had happened. Emma looked petrified and didn't say much, but Evan calmly, almost nonchalantly, admitted that he had let them drink. When I pressed about the details, he shrugged and said that Mia had drank about 600 milliliters of vodka, or 2.5 cups. He said that it was no big deal, casually adding that it's fine, I was supervising them. I was horrified. Mia was barely conscious, struggling to even breathe properly, and Evan acted like this was normal. I called an ambulance right away, and Mia was rushed to the hospital. The doctors confirmed that she had alcohol poisoning. Thankfully, she'll recover, but the situation could have been far worse. I was shaking with guilt and fury and disbelief. When I got back home, I unleashed all of my anger on Evan. I told him that he had crossed an unforgivable line by putting two 15-year-olds in danger. He tried to justify himself, saying that teens are going to drink anyways, and he thought that it was better if they did it around him. He even smirked while saying it, which made my blood boil. I told him to pack his things and get out of my house immediately. I also told him that he's not welcome around Emma until further notice. What crushed me the most was when Emma later admitted tearfully that this wasn't the first time that Evan had let her drink with him. She begged me not to cut him off and said that I was overreacting, claiming that Evan didn't mean for things to go this far. She also blames me for ruining her birthday and won't speak to me now. I am devastated and furious all at once. I feel like I failed to protect my daughter, but at the same time, I can't just forgive Evan for what he did. Emma doesn't see it that way, though, and thinks that I'm being unfair. All right, folks, what do you think of this one?
Absolutely not the jerk. Emma is 15. She doesn't understand the severity of the situation in the way that you as an adult do. She's probably going to be upset for a little while because of this, maybe for a long time, but it's important that you keep her safe and that you keep her friends safe. Why would a 45-year-old man be getting two 15-year-old girls drunk?
I have some terrifying answers to that question that I don't really like the answer to.
Exactly. Like, there's no good reason for him to be getting two 15-year-old girls drunk.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason, and up in their bedroom nonetheless.
Right.
This does not pass the sniff test. It does not pass the sniff test at all. Evan feels like a very big creep, and I would not be surprised if he has some dark secrets in his past.
Yeah. So I think it's really unfortunate what happened, but you handled the situation well. You got Mia the help she needed.
Yeah.
It seemed like he thought it was fine to give her massive quantities of alcohol and then just like let her sweat it out. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's it. It's like this went way beyond, oh, I'm letting them have a glass of wine type of thing in the presence of adults, right? This is because some people will do that, right?
Right, like a glass of wine at like a family meal or something like that.
But this really was to the point of this could have ended badly. This could have killed her. And I mean, that's really the reality of the situation. Evan has shown, even if he didn't have nefarious intentions here, which, is speculative, that he is not a responsible adult. And a responsible adult would have known that calling an ambulance was the right thing to do.
Right. Well, and a responsible adult would not have been giving teenagers vodka
No.
to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is like
Oh,
beyond the pale here,
she
right?
had 600 milliliters of vodka. It's no biggie. It's like
16 ounces? I mean, 16 ounces? That's vodka. That is enough to make a lot of people, grown men, not be in such a good place here.
mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely not acceptable, and Evan is a dangerous individual to be around.
Right. No matter what his motives were here, which again, getting her so drunk also, gives me some, puts up my hackles.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he's just completely clueless and like doesn't understand that no one should be drinking that much vodka when they're inexperienced,
Mm-hmm.
he's not a safe person.
Yeah. And to bring this back to, OP's daughter, she's 15.
Mhm.
She doesn't know better. And when she gets to be 40, she's going to look back at this and think that Evan's a creep.
Right. It's one of those things where, like, unfortunately, when you're young, having someone who treats you like you're mature and like they treat you like you're an equal, can feel really great. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how a lot of grooming situations start is, everyone else still treats me like a child because you are a child, but this person treats me like an adult. They make me feel like I'm mature, like I can handle things.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything about this is giving me groomer vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Cozy Field says, not the jerk, Evan is 100% out of line here and crossed a serious boundary. It really concerns me that Emma is sticking up for him and saying that he's allowed her to drink before. Also, why is Evan alone in a room with two 15-year-old girls who are drinking to the point of alcohol poisoning? I don't know many 45-year-olds who would allow themselves to be in that sort of situation. Absolutely the worst judgment if he isn't it isn't a creep. Sheil09 says, sounds like grooming behavior. Pickles McPickle says, so I specialize in watching for signs of grooming or other types of abuse in severely autistic children. I'm very good at it. This is absolutely grooming behavior. And throwaway 1975764 says, I have no specialties in grooming abuse beyond being an adult woman. This is absolutely grooming behavior. And Legion Berry number 2455 says, wow, does Mia know how little your daughter actually values her friendship that she would rather carry on hanging out with a man who nearly killed her friend and clearly doesn't care? How unfair would it be if Mia had died, which is a very real possibility? Your daughter needs a massive reality check, to be honest. At least there's a responsible adult around. I also suspect that they'll stay in contact and she'll meet him without your knowledge, as she doesn't realize how bad this was and he doesn't care. And not least, a 45-year-old man in the bedroom with two 15-year-olds getting them drunk is a major red flag. Perhaps he needs to be on a register. Edit to add, not the jerk, but your brother completely is. I mean, it seems like so many people are drawing the same conclusions that we did.
It's hard not to draw that conclusion.
Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Telling My In-Laws About Gifting Tradition for My Baby Celebration, additionally not sharing the gifts with them? For some context, the baby's 100th day is celebrated in my culture with a small party. Essentially, family and friends gather between the 4th and the 6th month of age. At this point, the infant takes her first mouthful of solid food and selects an item that is presumably meant to predict her future self. It's just for fun. For example, my daughter chose a pen, so we think that she'll be interested in studying. Additionally, everyone brings a gift for the baby. Family usually gives gold and friends give a baby product. I've been with my husband for 6 years, and I can tell you that his family doesn't really like me. For the first 4 years of our relationship, I put a lot of effort into it, but once we were engaged and his family wasn't too enthusiastic, I gave up. Even though we still get together for celebrations, birthdays, and other events, I no longer make an effort to speak with them. When we got engaged, my husband assured me that I didn't have to put in a lot of effort to win his family's approval, so I quit. My in-laws haven't had a major part in our lives since we got married. We've only seen them 4 or 5 times a year. Since they haven't seen our baby yet, I invited them to the celebration. They were hesitant, attempting to argue that this isn't how we do things in our family and that we don't understand your foreign culture. I politely told them that if that's their wish, whether or not they want to see their grandchild, and I wouldn't be forcing them to. Well, last week, there were around 50 people who chose to celebrate my beautiful child, most of who were from my side of the family. Everything was nice and pleasant. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law arrived as well. After that, it was time for presents. As previously said, every member of the family gave my child a gold earring, necklace, bracelet, or coin. At the party, my in-laws began to remark that it was a waste of money to give gold to a small child, but nobody listened. They then criticized me for not telling them that my family would spend so much money and accused me of making them look bad. I apologized and explained that it was simply part of our tradition and that I thought that they wouldn't be interested because they've never been. They complained to my husband and he ignored them, but they wouldn't stop. It first started with me trying to make them look bad, to them now demanding that I give them some gold, as the daughter has no use for it and it's meant to be shared with the family. When my husband and I stopped picking up their calls, my sister-in-law posted on Instagram and Facebook about child cruelty because our 6-month daughter has her ears pierced and wears small earrings. I get that it's not common in the US, hence why everyone now thinks that I am torturing my baby. The thing is that I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. But when I read all the comments about me being a horrible parent and using my baby to make money, it just feels bad. I am posting this to see if everyone thinks the same. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
Pierced ears aside, no, you're not the jerk for having the celebration and not giving the money to your in-laws. The purpose is to celebrate your baby. And I'm not familiar with this particular culture, but I know in some cultures the gold items are given to like secure the child's future. Like, yeah, maybe she'll grow out of baby-sized gold jewelry, but you know, it's something you can always use later on for money. And the audacity of these people, like if you had said, oh, by the way, family members usually give gold, I'm sure they would have been outraged.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, oh, how dare you demand gold from us? It's like there's no win-win situation here. There's no way to win with these people.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it really boils down to is they would have complained no matter what OP had done because they've made it a habit to complain about what OP is doing. And that's not OP's problem, it's their problem. And the fact that they're now demanding the gold items just shows that they're trying to guilt you and manipulate you and trying to coerce you into having a relationship with them on their terms.
Well, yeah, and they want to take money from your child because they're greedy.
Yeah, so I don't think that OP is anything to be worried about or is even in the wrong. As for the earrings, I don't actually have a problem with babies getting their ears pierced. That it's not a damaging procedure. It's very reversible. So if the child grows up and decides that they don't want to have their ears pierced, all they need to do is take the earrings out and they'll seal themselves. As for the pain, I mean, ear piercing, as far as I'm aware, isn't really a super painful procedure.
Oh, I would beg to differ.
Oh,
but
Amber begs to differ.
I mean, it depends on how you get them done. Piercing guns were the norm when I was small. That's how I got my ears done. You do not want to have them done with a piercing gun. Like, needles aren't too bad, but piercing guns are so painful.
Yeah.
And they can cause nerve damage potentially. It's not very common, but like, yeah, you don't want to do piercing guns.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on your threshold for pain too. So I know that some people experience pain much more severely than other people.
Well, I've had my ears pierced on 4 different occasions, and the piercing gun at the mall when I was 8 was the one that was like, nope, this was terrible.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is that I've heard from some people that it's a very painless procedure. So, but a baby at that age is probably not going to really remember the pain or remember any of the problems associated with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more mixed. I mean, I certainly think you should not do this against a parent's wishes. And it's more complicated with the parents because it's, like you said, it's not an irreversible bodily modification generally, but I also do think it's best to wait until your child is old enough to consent. But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I've also heard from people who were actually glad that their parents got their ears pierced when they were very young.
I
And
mean,
the
when I was
reason,
8 and got my ears pierced, I wished my mom had done it when I was a baby.
yeah, because like they, were like, I wouldn't have remembered the pain, and I thought that it was a painful experience. But again, like I've heard some people who have had no pain. I've heard some people who were had a lot of pain.
Well, I mean, my other piercings were not really that painful, but my sister stabbed my ears with like sewing needles to make them, and those were fine. They were not bad, but piercing guns, I do not recommend.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Rhubarb Goldberg says, not the jerk, go no contact for a while. And Dinosaur Domination says, for a while, no, keep going until it's forever. And Aries Harper Bold says, OP explained the tradition of their culture, and it's not OP's responsibility to change it to appease your in-laws. Their criticism of OP's customs is disrespectful. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, My Parents Hid My Real Birth Date from Me. I've recently discovered something quite shocking about my life, and I'm still trying to process it. My birthday has always been celebrated on August 20th, and I've never thought twice about it. That was until I needed my birth certificate and to get my passport. While going through some of the old documents with my mom, I casually asked, "Hey, can you hand me my birth certificate?" After a moment of hesitation, she passed it to me, and I quickly scanned it over, only to find out that I was actually born on July 31st. When I confronted my parents, they explained that they had originally celebrated my birthday in August to match a family tradition associated with a deceased relative. They assumed that it wouldn't matter to me, being just a child when it started. But here I am, trying to wrap my head around all these implications. What other things have they conveniently forgotten to tell me about? I can't help but wonder what discovering such a fundamental part of my identity means for my sense of self. It's strange to think that something as simple as a date can affect how you view yourself. I'm curious if anyone else has had a similar experience, whether it's finding out something different about your past or uncovering a family secret. It makes me ponder how much of what we know is based on what others tell us versus reality. Guess I'll just have to adjust to being a July baby after all. Alright folks, what do you think?
I mean, this one is a very I can kind of relate to OP on this one. Now, I was not lied to about my birthday, but I have uncovered some family secrets that it was like, oh, I just accepted this at face value because I assumed this person would tell me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And now this kind of has shaken my whole faith in my ability to trust this person and how much more of what they've told me is not true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the delicate thing when it comes to things like this, right? When OP was old enough, they could have explained it in a age-appropriate way that, oh, we're going to celebrate your birthday on August, blah, 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 instead of July, blah, 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 right? Because of a family tradition or something like that. And that sometimes people celebrate their birthday on a different day than when their birthday is actually. That way, they wouldn't have been lying to OP all those years. And the trouble is, when you start telling these kinds of big lies, this isn't even a small lie, that it really can make someone question what other things they've been lied to about.
Right. Well, and I feel like so often people don't think about the long-term ramifications. Like that small child, yeah, maybe an infant or, a toddler is not going to care when you celebrate their birthday or have any concept of time. But this child is eventually going to grow up into an adult. And people just don't think about, oh, I'll tell them later, but they don't want to, oh, I'm in too deep now. I'm just going to double down and like hold off forever. And that creates like a bad situation when inevitably the truth comes out. Like this day and age, you can't hide someone's legal birth date from them in places like the US at least.
Well, and that's a big concern that I have here, and I kind of wanted to touch on that, is what about all the legal documents, right? What happens if OP had gone and, filled out some legal documents and heard back from the government of, oh, you weren't born this day? I mean, this is going to be a really hard thing, especially if they have official documents that have the wrong birth dates on them.
Right. Well, and if OP like had to fill out a FAFSA for college or anything like that, the government will check. And like if your birth date is wrong, they'll be like, oh, hey, there's this thing that's not right on your FAFSA.
Mm-hmm. So I think that they were just setting OP up for failure to some degree. They really needed to be open and honest with OP's actual birthday. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And this cauliflower 1986 says, this seems like a lie to cover for your parents having intimate time before marriage or something like that. I don't believe the reason And now you wonder if there's a date mismatch across documents. It wouldn't change the view of myself, but it would make me wonder what my parents were hiding. And Botroid 2000 says, yes, OP, are you their first child? How long before your birth were they married? That's an actually an interesting question because that
Mm-hmm.
could be the case.
Yeah, just fudge the dates a little bit.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Knock, knock.
I don't believe that people are at my door. I think that there are ghosts and only ghosts.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Otto.
Otto who?
Otto, no, I just forgot.
It's a forgetful ghost at my door, haunting me forevermore. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve, folks. I hope your day is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
Lies may pay today, but they won't pay tomorrow. Choose your words wisely.
I like that. That's a great haiku. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.